Look, I buy a lot of Lego, I build a lot of Lego, and there are a couple of sets that have really impressed me lately, more than I thought they would. Lego City might be the most underrated theme Lego is making right now. And with that, let's face it, Lego City for years was just boring. That's certainly how I remember the theme from my childhood. There were police vehicles, fire trucks, gas stations, and then you would repeat the same thing over and over and over again. But something has changed, quietly, without a big announcement, without a big marketing push. And now Lego City is doing something no other theme is doing. It's building a world. And that shift didn't happen by accident. It came from a change in leadership. Around 2023, 2024, I think, Lego brought in a new creative direction for City, with designers coming in with a different mindset. Most notably for me was Chris Stamp, right? Moving from Speed Champions to City. There was a shift in philosophy, asking not just what set do we make, but what kind of city are we building here? And before this, Lego City sets were standalones. There was your classic police car, then another fire truck, a fire station, or a random construction vehicle just thrown in. And now they are part of a system, a city that feels alive. Everything shares design, language, scale, purpose, and that's a massive shift. And most people didn't even notice that. Because Lego City has a branding problem. It's seen as a kids theme, right? A very repetitive, very basic, play-focused kids theme. And now, don't get me wrong, I want Lego City, I want all Lego for that matter, to be very accessible for kids. And if you are an adult into collecting Lego, then you should probably want that too. Because if you ever want to sell your collection someday far, far in the future, right? Maybe when your health doesn't allow you to enjoy it anymore, you then want a new generation to be there, who's really into the stuff you have accumulated over the years. All communities of interest, they die out if there's no accessible onboarding for new people. So that said, the point I'm trying to make is there's more to City than just a child-friendly play system. But right now, and especially compared to icons, ideas, Star Wars, it doesn't really feel collector-worthy. And that's exactly why I think it's underrated. But luckily there's a new design philosophy in City, right? And this new approach, I think, focuses on three different things. First of all, cohesion. Sets now feel like they belong together, right? Not just visually, but functionally. And second of all, there's a balance now between play and display. They still work as toys, don't get me wrong, but they look better than they ever used to, especially from what I remember from my childhood, right? With cleaner builds and much better proportions. And then finally, it's all about expanding the world. City is finally moving beyond just fire and police. So let's look at some sets that illustrate that. And let's start with the construction excavator, right? This is a machine, not just a toy. Proper proportions, strong functions, clean design. I really like the elephant branded construction vehicles they have come up with. I took this as the one example that I have currently built right now because I just unboxed and built it. But there are other cool elephant themed, elephant branded construction vehicles like that crane or this really cool bulldozer, which I still need to get. Or take this tractor, right? I really love the color scheme and I really like that you can open this up and have a look at the engine in there, right? And this is where you see shared design philosophy, because you can do the same thing on the construction excavator, right? You can open this up and take out the engine actually, and then look at it and it looks a lot like the one from the tractor. This is exactly what I'm talking about with finding a way to bring everything together. And this is just a tractor, right? But that's exactly the point. It represents everyday life, agriculture, a part of the world Lego has been ignoring. There have been tractors before, but not a cool one like this, not a realistic looking one like this. I love this build. And now it exists naturally within City, not just as a gimmick, but as part of the system. Just like this holiday adventure camper van, and this might just be one of the best examples for it. Again, you can open up parts of the build, look at the engine. This is an electric vehicle, so it doesn't have a motor like the ones we looked at before. But this is just a camper van, right? A vacation vehicle, nothing dramatic. And yet the build is really, really good. And it highlights something that I've been saying for years. 8 wide vehicles just look better. Thank you, Chris Stamp, moving from 8 wide Speed Champions to City. But they just allow for better proportions, for more detail and a more realistic design. Or take the Lego delivery truck. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because this isn't just a vehicle, it's infrastructure. It represents logistics, delivery, and the movement of goods. That might sound like a small detail, but it's actually not, because Lego is a European company, right? And in Europe, the free movement of goods is one of the fundamental ideas the European Union has been built upon. The idea that things and people move across cities, across regions, across borders. And what LEGO City is starting to reflect here is that kind of system thinking. Not just isolated vehicles, but networks, supply chains, a functioning world. And the new LEGO van underlines that point. This is the smaller counterpart to the bigger truck. By the way, if you still want that bigger truck, it retires at the end of July 2026. I don't have it yet, and I think I really want it for my future city, right? So we have to move fast. There's only a couple of months left. If you see it at 40% discount anywhere, just get it. Even 30%, I would say, before you miss out on it, you probably don't want to do that. But back to the van. This is just more compact, more everyday, but clearly designed within the same system. Same scale, same world, same logic. And this raises a bigger question. If LEGO City is becoming more connected, more system-based, more like a real city, why doesn't it have its own modular buildings? Because right now, if you want to expand your city, you have to look at the icons modulars. And they don't really fit. They have a slightly different scale, they have a different road system and a different philosophy. What City really needs is its own modular line, right? Something that works with the road plates, with the vehicle scale, with the place system. Or better yet, the system needs to adapt to modulars. And modulars, I think, need to move away from icons to their own line. Just like the Botanicals did a while ago. Because right now, LEGO City is building a city, but not giving it buildings that belong to it. And if you start a new overhauled modular line, then you could have smaller, modular, compatible, adjacent sets on top of that big annual set we're getting traditionally every January. Right now, you can only get these sets from the Bricklink Designer Program, which I think in turn will need some adjustments as well, right? With the ever-growing amount of submissions it's getting. And I should know, I made one, but more on that in May. Back to my point. There's a gap here LEGO needs to fill, and I think I know the perfect starting point. What about a new modular LEGO store like the one we got from the Bricklink Designer Program way back when, right? Look at it, it's beautiful. A set that sits right between play and display. Or we move on to all of the Arctic sub-theme, which might be the clearest example of where this is going, right? Take, for example, the Arctic Explorer Science Lab truck. This isn't just a vehicle. It's a mobile research station with scientific exploration and environmental storytelling. This has a clear purpose, just like the Arctic Polar Express train. And this is where things get really interesting, because this isn't just an Arctic set, right? It's a crossover. It brings in Johnny Thunder, and with him, the classic Explorers theme, which I really want to get into again. Can you imagine an expansion, an update, a modernization of classic original IPs? Doesn't that sound awesome to you? And then integrate monster fighters into the same universe at some point? Point is, LEGO's trying something new, right? They're connecting sub-themes. And for the first time in a long time, City isn't just a city. It's starting to become a universe. But there's one area where I think LEGO is still holding City back, right? And unfortunately, that is with the minifix. And LEGO kind of painted itself in a corner here. Yes, I'm talking about the yellow Skintones. I know they are iconic. I know they are supposed to be neutral, right? And they are part of LEGO's identity. I get all that. But they also limit what City could be. Because if you're trying to build a real, living city, I mean, diversity matters. And LEGO has already used natural skin tones before, right? Not just in all of their licensed sets, but think of the recent Pan Am set. Think of the Sherlock Holmes book nook, right? They're not necessarily as licensed as Star Wars, right? But still, they use natural skin tones there. But City, the theme about everyday life, they still stick entirely to yellow. And I think that's a missed opportunity. I'm sorry. Because diversity is one of the biggest strengths of a city in real life, and it could be in LEGO too. I'm not saying remove all the yellow, but give people the option, right? Expand the system. Because that's what this whole shift is about. Expanding possibilities. Making the world feel more real, more connected, more alive. But even without these changes, LEGO City right now feels amazing. I love these sets, and yet people still ignore it because it doesn't impress you on its own, right? A UCS set that just looks amazing on its shelf. A city set looks like part of something, and that's the point. City sets don't impress you individually, they impress you collectively. So yeah, LEGO City didn't suddenly become better, right? It slowly became something different. It went from a theme that not a lot of people paid attention to something that feels really exciting within the catalog right now. But I'm curious, do you still see LEGO City as a kid's theme, or do you agree? Are people seriously underestimating it? And would you want LEGO to push it further? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more videos about LEGO design, about LEGO collecting and overlooked ideas, then subscribe. I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Welcome to my ant card. This is just a hangout. Yeah, I'm a crank that shit. Bro, that's so damn loud. It's nothing but a little intermission. Enjoy these soothing bars of utter indecision. Buddy people, you can trust me. It's an ant card. I know all those fire jokes and get you saying hard. It's an ant card. This shit ain't some voodoo, bro. I know you want to stay, but it's time for you to go.